Hey guys, we're back with another episode of our Sryth Fantasy Text-Based RPG. Last time, we finished Proving Grounds number 2. Besides that, I don't really know what we were doing. I think we were just finishing the Proving Grounds. But hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. This time, I'm gonna go on to Proving Grounds 3 after we go to my castle and visit the old man at Goblin Claw Inn. So, let's go. Let's see. We're going to hit the one list building for our experience bonus. Here, I'll take it. And then we want to go travel to southeast, or Tridma, which is where my castle is by there. We're gonna it's been quite some time since I've seen candles, like 4 days. Can you see me? Okay, let me back it up. I'm backing up. I'm gonna upgrade just my stuff here that I've already put in, so this way I don't have to make any decisions about. Oh, I have a grandeur 250. I don't know that I want to mess that up. Now it's a 51, and it's not a cool round number, but it is what it is. Let's save, and then cannot purchase any or improve any upgrades left today. So let's leave and go to southwest, back to South Tribal Inn, back to Goblin Claw Inn, into Goblin Claw Inn, into the inn, talk to the old man. What else for old man? Guess I'm here. I'm not gonna reread this, but we're gonna do it because we'll be rewarded at the end. Finished. How many days we gotta do this with this guy? Hopefully it's finished soon, because it's been a long time, I feel like. Alright. Go to Hawklore. Into Hawklore. And then we're going to go to Proving Grounds. So we've done all the Proving Grounds except number 3. Which one's most exciting? I think the one where you get Shadow Magic. Alright. Proving Grounds, Shadow over Stonegate. The darkness has settled upon the eastern Tissian town of Stonegate. The town's protector, a man by the name of Garwin Silverfoot, seeks the aid of an adventurous hero. Garwin sounds like a familiar name. Alright. Let's get it going, you guys. It's late afternoon when you arrive at Stonegate beneath the pale, cloudless sky with just a hint of winter's breath in the brisk autumn wind that pushes at your back. Your journey to the eastern Tissian town was undertaken at the behest of its protector, a man by the name of Garwin Silverfoot. The letter from Garwin that reached you via courier nearly a week ago spoke of a dire problem besetting the town that he has been entrusted to and protect. Well met at last, smiles Garwin, as you introduce yourself to him in the town meeting house. He meets you in a shoulder cross and profoundly expresses gratitude for your hasty arrival. More troublesome days I can't remember, he says, his tone becoming grim, and that includes the goblin raids 3 years ago this very week. A darkness settled over this place, Allison, and I should be most glad of any help that you can provide. Your reputation is one that speaks for itself, and I'm no stranger to your grand list of accomplishments. Thank you. I only pray that time is still on our side. You ask Garwin about the nature of the trouble afflicting Stonegate, and a little relief passes over his face, as if he's glad to have had you breach the heart of the matter. The dead walk among us, he says flatly in response. What? Intrigued by Garwin's admission of the nature of the trouble afflicting Stonegate, you listen carefully as he relates to you in detail the recent events that prompted him to seek you out. You learn that over the last couple of weeks, people in Stonegate began reporting strange sightings in and around the town. Several attested to seeing a tall rider in a ragged cloak on the back of an armoured steed on and around the town roads leading out of town, he says. Others claim to have witnessed skeletons and similar ghoulish creatures stalking through the forest just after dusk. The accounts are too numerable to discount, but it wasn't until a group of my own militiamen engaged a band of fleshless warriors made of their way along the main thoroughfare that the grim reality of what we face was made plain to all. Says the incidents on the thoroughfare, the sightings and encounters have become more frequent, says Garwin. This unholy tide rises from somewhere nearby, as I'm able to figure it, but I'm afraid their timing and purpose remain a mystery to me. Your interest is further piqued when Garwin tells you that many of the sightings and encounters have coincided with the appearance of a ghastly figure in various places in and about the town. He is quick to say that he has not yet seen this figure, but that he no longer has any reason to doubt an even halfway credible story. Though this figure hasn't yet harmed anyone, it's been dubbed the Lurker, he says, and it's the Lurker. That reminds me of Sryth. There's lurkers in that game. And it's certainly the mainstay of the local prattle that these last couple of weeks most seem to think it's a source of undead affliction, though honestly I don't know what can be made of. Nothing good, I'd wager. Garwin pauses and leans heavily on the edge of the wooden table. The age is upon us. We're told time and again, he says, and while I don't blindly subscribe to such prophecies, I can't deny that these strange times we find ourselves in. These are strange times. I'd be more willing to give a thought to such face telling if they somehow brought me peace of mind. Sadly they do not. Strange times, Alison, strange times indeed. Garwin is silent for a moment as he faces the window that looks out upon the Stonegate's main thoroughfare. He turns to you and is about to speak when suddenly the meeting house door flies open. A young man, breathing hard with his face bathed in sweat, bursts into the meeting house and earnestly addresses Garwin. "The Lurker," he manages to hiss between a ragged breath. "It's in the cellar of the inn." Garwin attempts to calm him and asks him if he actually saw the Lurker himself. The young man replies that he has, and his face grows ashen as he recounts the brief encounter, as if he's recalling a moment of dire terror. "Let's get to the inn, Alison," said Garwin, turning and flashing a concerned look at you. The young man's eyes widen the moment Garwin speaks your name, and he stares at you in disbelief. Famous! "Alison," he says incredulously. "That's what the Lurker said to me. Last thing I heard as I fled out of the cellar was your name. The Lurker asked me to find you and bring you back to the inn. But how did—" "Never mind all that, Linear," says Garwin, calling the young man by his name. "Wait here and collect yourself. Come, Alison, let's get to the inn." Following closely behind Garwin, "I'm not famous. This Lurker's a demon or something, and he knows me." Following closely behind Garwin, you rush past Linear and out of the meeting house. You move briskly along the town's thoroughfare toward the Steadmore Inn, and as you ponder this abrupt, unsettling turn of events, you cannot but feel that your arrival in Stonegate has not gone unnoticed. The inn's proprietor, Tubrig Steadmore, stands outside his establishment with a small crowd of patrons, and when you approach, he tells you and Garwin that it's the best of his knowledge the Lurker is still in the cellar. Garwin knows, and not wasting any time, the two of you stride into the inn and descend into the cellar. At first, you can make out nothing in the gloom, but your eyes gradually adjust to the dim light, and you are able to perceive a tall, shadowy figure standing against the far wall. The figure that suddenly stirs and moves slowly towards you, stepping clearly into view. Standing before you is a lanky, gaunt-faced woman whose sunken, decayed features and pale white skin betray her as no member of the living. Filthy rags cling to her bone-thin frame, and only a few thin strands of long black hair dangle from a rotting scalp. You find yourself unable to draw your gaze from her hollow eye sockets, which seem transfixed upon you. Though you certain they no longer render sight, she steps closer and nods. "The boy has done well to fetch you," she says, voice like that of a young woman. "Oh." "The boy has done well to fetch you," she says, her voice like that of a young woman, seemingly devoid of any relation to her physical state. "I am here against my own better judgment, for even in death I know fear, Alison. I don't have long, so listen well." You nod, acknowledging what she has said, but remain wary. Garwin says nothing and takes several steps back. Out of the corner of your eye you see his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. "This place is the site of an invasion," she continues. "They pour into this world through a portal from a dark realm you do not know, the name of which I shall not give life to here. A nameless demon, told you it was demon. A wicked minion, a powerful and terrible master leads the incursion. The demon is without name, but not without power, great power and great cunning. He is to be feared, and yet he must be defeated at all cost." The gaunt figure continues to speak, and you listen intently, seeking meaning in her every ominous word. "A path of shadows serves to bridge time and space between the demon realm and this world. she says. You must find and close this portal before the tide that flows through it is such that it cannot be stemmed. There is precious little time. The figure saves several steps back toward the far wall, receding into the shadows as she slowly retreats. The darkness that has found its way here will never rest, and will not be sated by a single conquest, she says as she continues to retreat. The shadows will lengthen and slowly consume all that they survey. Be wary, Alison, for the demon can assume many guises. Trust in yourself above all else. I have spoken too long. Go now. The ghastly being disappears into the gloom against the far wall and is lost from sight. You and Gawain quickly search the cellar, finding but find no trace of her. Well now. I never thought it would. Common stops in mid-sentence as several shots and unmistakable din of battle ring out from above. You dash up the cellar steps and charge out to the inn. The Stonegate's protector follow rapidly on your heels. The chaotic scene greets you on the thoroughfare outside the inn. 6 members of the town militia are engaged in a brutal fight with hulking hooded figure clad in leather armor. 2 of the militia lie dead, victims of the double-bladed axe wielded by their sizable foe. You charge to the aid of the beleaguered militia as you near the fray. The large figure turns to face you, betrayed the fleshless head covering its dark hood. You dodge the first of your enemy's savage strokes as you boldly engage a towering skeletal warrior. Dead. The splintering of bone signals that defeat your foe as the massive skeleton crashes to the ground at your feet. You turn to find that Gawain and through the town's militia are engaged in a fight against 4 sword-wielding skeletons. Before you rush into the direction of the roiling melee, a piercing shriek at your right makes your blood run cold. You spin in the direction of the terrifying sound. Hurtling through the air towards you is a gruesome apparition, its phantasmal arms outstretched as it bears down upon you with unnerving speed. I know why I always stumble and read words that are far ahead. I'm reading silently in my head. At the same time, I'm reading it loud. So the silent ones sometimes come out, and it's further ahead than me reading out loud because I read fast. Oh my gosh. I just figured that out right now. Death. The final enraged shriek. The terrifying phantasm dissipates into thin air, and you quickly turn and rush to the aid of Gawain and the militia. As you near the melee, 2 of the skeletons leave the fray and stride forward to meet you. Rapid advance. As quickly as it began, the raging battle on Stonegate's main thoroughfare is over. 3 of the militia are dead, and Gawain has been badly wounded. You help bear him into the inn, and Trubig Stedmore immediately sends for the local healer. Quite an introduction to our fair town, smirks Gawain as he lies on the floor of the inn, his head propped up in a pile of cloth. His tunic is soaked with blood, betraying the deep wound that crosses its torso just below the garment. You tell him not to speak and to conserve his strength for when the healer arrives. You sense that he will survive the wound, but you have no doubt that Stonegate's protector has been effectively taken out of the action for at least the next small while. You promise Gawain that you will do all you can to see the shadowy menace threatening Stonegate is vanquished. He beckons for you to lean. Okay. Oh my gosh. Lean down over him, and much to your surprise, he reaches over and meets you in a shoulder cross. We cannot lose this fight, Alison, he says, wincing as he speaks. I have already dispatched word to Telenas about what is transpiring here. However, there is no guarantee of our plea will be acknowledged with due haste, nor that any resulting heat would arrive in help would arrive in time. For the time being, I fear the fight is ours alone. More aptly, yours alone for at least a little while. You begin to reassure him of your commitment of defeating the evil that assails the town. He smiles weakly before closing his eyes and left to ward off the intense pain that racks his body. The healer arrives and begins to tend to Gawain. You use this opportunity to take your leave and slip out of the inn. Outside the inn, there's no longer any sign of the battle. The militia, helped by a handful of the town's residents, have taken away the body of the fallen and cleared away the gruesome remains of the defeated and dead. Your eyes drift along the thoroughfare, following its broad path to the edge of sight where the tall line of dark trees signal the start of the dense wood that surround the town. Something inexplicable tells you that it is there in the deep of the forest that the answers to the many questions you have lie in wait. Coupled with this is the sense that you are about to embark upon a dangerous course, which there is no turning back. It is starkly sobering thought, and yet it only serves to strengthen your resolve. With late afternoon gradually turning into dusk, you make your way back to the inn, vowing to set out at dawn's first light and find out what you can about the evil that threatens Stonegate, and the time has come to take the fight to the enemy. Alright. Guess we'll do this one. Hopefully that lasts the rest of the 30 minutes of this episode. Amongst the Graves. So let's go. The first light of dawn finds you making your way out of Stonegate, heading for an ancient graveyard just east of town. It's at the top of a steep rise known as the Lookout Ridge. You spend your first nights at Stonegate in the common room of the Steadmore Inn, conversing with the other patrons and learning as much as you can about the local geography and folklore. According to those you spoke with, many of the sightings of the undead have occurred around Lookout Ridge. When you learn about the ancient graveyard that crowns its summit, you decided that there is no better place to begin your hunt. The graveyard atop Lookout Ridge is indeed a lonely, desolate place. Following an overgrown stony path, you cautiously skirt the edge of the forgotten cemetery. Your eyes and ears alert for any sign of danger amidst the ancient grave markers and the monuments. As you near the north side of the hill, you spot a tall robed figure striding across the graves off to your right. The figure suddenly stops and turns to face you, throwing back its hood to reveal the face of a beautiful young woman. And well, hello. The woman smiles and bows courteously. What brings someone to this sort of place before the sun is even fully up? She asks. I could ask you the same question. Oddly enough, you find yourself unable to respond to her simple inquiry. Your eyes lock with hers and you're instantly transfixed by an allure that you perceive as more than merely superficial. You find yourself inexplicably drawn to her, desiring to serve and protect her, preparing to abandon your own life in the pursuit of any end that she would command you to undertake. So it's a trick. For a brief moment, the flesh of the beautiful face that has captivated you ever since melts off the bone, revealing the protruding mandibles and bulbous black eyes of a grotesque insect. The terrifying sight quickly fades, placed by the familiar enchanting visage that continues to enrapture you. Come, Alison, she says, her soothing, lilting voice eroding your will. There's much yet to be done. Don't you wish to help me? Even as your legs begin to involuntarily carry you across the graveyard towards her, you become acutely aware of the immediate peril you face. Instinctively, your mind and spirit take over, waging a desperate battle against the icy psychic fingers that savagely claw at your psyche. Failed. Rude. Only 10 yards from the woman, a series of stabbing pains shoot through your skull, ravaging every fibre of your being, crying agony as you collapse in a heap on the ground. You are weak, Alison, said the woman, her enchanting voice having lost none of its bewitching lilt. Alas, for you are of no use to me after all. Perhaps in death you will prove to be of a greater utility. The woman raises her arms, and all around you skeletal hands erupt from the earth as a long buried dead claw their way out of the eternal rest, preparing to carry the bidding of their new master. Having shaken off the lingering effects of the powerful assault, you cycling prepare yourself to face the horde of fleshless undead now clattering towards you from all sides. Hidden skeletons. You quickly find yourself surrounded, fighting for your life against a vile creature of clawing fleshless horde. Death to the heathens. A large pile of bones at your feet is all that remains of your skeletal foes. The clattering horde continues to press in on you from all sides. 13 skeletons? 6 is not bad. That's right. Still coming. There ain't more. A large pile of bones at your feet is all that remains of your skeletal foes. The growing undead horde pressing on, you start toward the robed woman, trying to defeat this unholy summoning at its source, but before you are overwhelmed by sheer numbers. The woman laughs, and much to the horror, you suddenly find yourself transfixed by her melodic, enchanting voice. Oh my gosh. The mind and spirit struggle against a powerful mental suggestion that seeks to keep you from wishing her harm. You don't bring yourself to harm, or even in the face of the other horse you summoned to destroy you. Okay. Is that the same number I got last time? I feel like it is. Alright. Your mind and spirit prove to be a match for a powerful suggestion that has attempted to govern your actions. Free from paralyzing effects, you rush forward to attack the woman, hoping to stop the undead summoning at its source. The moment you draw the range of the robed woman, she flashes you a fanged smile and throws her arms into the air as she slumps to a heap on the ground. You step forward, preparing to strike her dead, but to your surprise, there's no body to be found within the pile of black robes. In cacophony, a clattering rises into the air as the skeletons she summoned simultaneously collapse where they stand, abruptly return to their familiar silent rest. You warily cast your gaze about, half expecting to see her standing in some other spot, but nothing stirs amidst the grades of the ancient burial ground. You're about to turn to leave the graveyard and suddenly spot something that arouses your interest. Buried in the mossy embankment to the west is the stone door of a crypt. What intrigues you, however, is the fact that the door stands ajar and appears to have been recently opened. You take another cautious look around, making certain you're still alone before making your way up to the open crypt. Whew. She tried to get me. Alright, still got 2 more minutes, so let's hit the crypt. The earth around the old crypt bears the marks of recent foot traffic. Worried of the fact that you could be stepping into a teeming nest of undead, you cautiously pull open the door and slip into the musty confines of the ancient tomb. The smell of damp earth permeating these ancient passages is almost overpowering. Behind you stand the open door that leads out into the graveyard. Okay, we gotta face like 8 at a time. It used to be a fun house. Apparently. Right. I walk 2 feet. Oh my God. I gotta do something about my shoulder. Oh. Can you still see me? Can everybody hear me? Unison, a group of armored skeleton warriors stride into the view along the passage, their bony fingers tightly clutching the hilts of their rusted blades. Unison, the ghastly band turns and starts toward you, their fleshless limbs clattering loudly in the silence that fills the musty tomb. Now they're dead. I'll take the gold, you keep the rest. Let's see, nothing. Okay, what's down here? Nothing. Okay, more skeletons, fine. Keep your leather sleeves. Elite skeleton warrior. Alright, north, nothing in the alcoves as of yet. Alright, let's check all the way south. I'm about to take a nap. Actually, this episode is not going well for my tiredness. I just got out of juice fast and I ate solid food, and guess body's like, wow, we need help digesting this. We need you to take a rest. Skeletal commander. Well, Cassie, you can't leave it. Okay, keep going. Bladesman. No thanks on this. I love most about rivers is can't step in the same river twice. Water's always changing, always flowing. You're startled by the sudden appearance of a large group of skeletons. A clattering band of undead emerged from the shadows of the passage, foremost of their ranks holding aloft a wooden pole bearing a tattered standard. The grimy cloth hanging from the pole bears an unknown faded insignia. The undead hiss wildly as they catch sight of you, and they immediately surge forward and attack. The last skeleton topples over, joining the remains of his undead kin and the piles of bones that lie at your feet. After the next few moments to check over your equipment, after taking a few moments to check over your equipment and catch your breath, you once again set off through the crypt. Undead battalion. Okay. Oh, we're not done. Warcraft, take it. Silence follows your victory over the skeleton leaning against the wall. The passage relies on a moment's rest before then setting off through the musty tomb, where we are immediately onset by 5 more skeletons. I was just trying to see what's over here. What's over here? A shadow path. The pulse quickens as you step into the small shaded chamber in the center of which was a wide, inky black vortex. You instantly recognize the spinning vortex to be a shadow path. The vortex emits a low, pulsing sound that fills the chamber's powerful cadence. rhythmically rattling of teeth. Suddenly your eyes are drawn to the sense of the shadow path. Something is emerging from the portal. A small host of skeletal beings emerge from the shadow path and step silently into the chamber. The new arrivals really turn their empty gaze in your direction and start towards you, their bony fingers clutching the hilts of decaying blades. Now they're dead. We need to close this thing. Having defeated the vicious group of undead, you promptly turn your attention to the swirling shadow path. You stand in the inky black vortex of the shadow path. Now and again, tines of blue energy leap across its swirling breadth, momentarily illuminating the chamber in a flash of lurid light. You realize that you must find a way to close the portal if you are to discern inside of undead, now using this gate. It is a gate into this world. You know what shadow magic? I see. Fine. Close your eyes and call upon the power. Gating. And it seems to affect the closing of the shadow. Success! The heart of the shadow path ripples and sweat pours down your brows. You struggle to close the vortex with your potent summon power. Bright flash of blue light that momentarily fills the chamber, and the heart of the shadow path begins to swirl with a renewed fervor. Suddenly, without sound, the vortex closes. The low, pulsing sound fades to whisper, and it's gone. The shadow path is no more. The first blow is delivered, and yet your fight has hardly begun. You turn to find the gaunt figure of the Lurker stepping out of the shadows at the edge of the chamber. You vividly recall your encounter with the eerie being in the cellar of the Stenmore at Stonegate. The ghastly figure turns to the spot which is the swirling vortex hovered on a moment ago, and then fixes a chilling gaze upon you. Your victory is not yet complete, says the soft voice of the Lurker. Even I have underestimated the sheer magnitude of the invasion that pours into this realm. You must hurry. The dark tide flows, and there are open doorways like this one through which far more wicked things have passed and shall yet pass. Turn to Stonegate at once. This was a harsh whisper out of the gloom. You try to question the gaunt figure, but she steps back in the shadow and is lost from sight. Can I finish exploring the cave? No. The elation that came with the closing of the shadow path has been tempered by the revelation of the Lurker that this was about one point of an incursion in a much wider invasion. With the final words still echoing in your head, you quickly leave the chamber and begin to make your way out of the crypt. A handful of undead still roam the halls of the tomb, and the few that you encounter are either easily evaded or make short work of it. A short while later, you reach into the crypt and step out of the crisp early morning air. I was gonna see what was in those other rooms. Immediately leave the graveyard and begins to descend from Lookout Ridge. If the start warning issued by the Lurker is true, and you have little reason to believe it is otherwise, the problem facing Stonegate is more grave than you had possibly imagined. You find yourself hoping that God was pleased with the powers that be in Talinas will prove fruitful. You reach the base of the Lookout Ridge and head west along the road leading back to town. Sun rises rapidly at your back as you go, burning with last misty remnants of early morning and scattering the lingering shadows of departed dawn that linger over Stonegate. Well done. Alright, the rising of the tide, the beast of the bone. I'm not going to do any more this episode because we're nearing the end here. Many happy returns, but it sounds like we're going to get along just fine as long as we don't have any just falling rocks, you know what I mean? So hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Until next time, we're going to keep going on the proving grounds. You know what I'm going to say. Peace.